you will invariably find yourself at one of the various big box marts, and you're going to see a little drone for a good price and think, oh, that's not that expensive, and I could really use some good aerial shots. I could inspect my roof for storm damage. I could get shots of the erosion along the coastline. It's not that simple. So let's talk about that for a sec. Drones. In the United States, drones are governed by the Federal Aviation Administration, which means they are aircraft, and, and the laws are similar to the laws for manned aircraft, things with people in them. So the laws are pretty serious. You need two different certifications depending on what you're doing to fly a drone. And there is no way to fly a drone in the United States without at least one of them. So the easiest to get is the Trust certification, Trust. And that's if you're going to fly the drone recreationally. We'll get into what recreational means later because there's some details in there. But the Trust certificate is really easy. I went to trust.pilotinstitute.com and I took my little test there. It took about a half hour. It's free, and you just get a certificate at the end of it that you print out and keep with you whenever you're out flying a drone. If you are not flying for recreational purposes, you need a license, a certificate from the FAA saying that you are a commercially licensed drone pilot. Commonly, this is called a Part 107, which is the law that's governing it, but it's really an Unmanned Aerial System Pilot Certificate, UAS Pilot Certificate, that's granted to you by the FAA after you take a test. The test is $175. You have to go to a testing station in person to take it, and out of 60 questions, you need to get 70% correct in order to pass the test, in which case the FAA will then eventually issue you your unmanned, your drone pilot certificate. Now again, I took a class, a very good class, from pilotinstitute.com, and I actually got this shirt because when I eventually took the test, I got more than a 90% on the test, 95% in fact. So I am a licensed commercial drone pilot. Why does that matter? Well, recreational means all you're doing is having fun. If you are out having fun, taking video of the erosion along the coastline, and you put that video up on YouTube as part of a nonprofit, that's not recreational. You did that for a purpose other than having fun. That could be reported to the FAA and you could be fined. Unfortunately, the Pilot Institute class is, I don't remember how much it is, I'll put it here somewhere. And it's excellent. You have access to it for life. And while I was very nervous about the test, because it's been a while since I did any test taking, I did well with it when I did it, but it was a while ago. The course really prepared me very well for the test. Not just like cramming for the test, but understanding the material so that if a curveball question came up, and it did, it wasn't too difficult for me to figure out. So highly recommended if you're flying recreationally only, go to trust.pilotinstitute.com and take care of that. If you are going to be using your footage for anything, consider getting your Part 107 certificate. And again, the Pilot Institute has an excellent class. There are others. I can't speak for them. I didn't do them, but I know that one works. So the way the FAA finds out generally that you've broken the rules is if somebody reports you. So if you are at all vulnerable to that, or your organization is vulnerable to that, really, really, really consider getting a Part 107, having somebody on your team get the Part 107. That doesn't mean that they have to be the only one flying ever, but they have to be there when the drone is up in the air. So, flying recreationally, which means just having fun, Trust certificate. Flying for any other reason, you're probably going to want to have a Part 107. So, have a look at the Pilot Institute. Have a look at some of the other online resources. There's lots of them. But do be careful. The regulations have been changing a lot over the past few years. I think the last major change was in 2021, and there's new stuff coming up. Like one of the things you'll see over and over again if you're looking at YouTube or whatnot is you cannot fly within 5 miles of an airport. That's no longer true. That was a blanket rule put in place, and they developed some really simple ways using your phone, which you may even need just to fly the drone. There's an app there where you can get permission to fly to a certain height based on how far you are from the airport. So that 5 mile rule no longer applies. A lot of information that's not wrong because it was right when it was put out, but it's outdated now. It's one of the reasons why I like things like the Pilot Institute course, because you have lifetime access to it and they update it. So if you ever need a refresher, there it is. So drones are great. The footage is fantastic, and they're a lot of fun to fly. But make sure you're aware of the laws regarding them and that you follow them, because, again, the laws are based on aircraft and manned aircraft, and the fines can be pretty surprising. Take care. And if you already have a drone and you're ready to go, enjoy. It's one of my favorite ways of getting good footage.